All right, this is James Pelton, and here for another AMA. And this is one I'm very excited about. Not that I'm not excited for all of them, but this one there's a special place of excitement because I'm very closely connected to the Constellation DAG project, and this is related to that. So very excited for this. Welcome all of you who are joining me for another AMA. I appreciate you guys more than you know. Again, I'm always just amazed. No one would come ask me to do AMAs unless there was an audience that was willing to watch. So I appreciate you guys very much. If you could hit the like button as we're getting started here and as we're waiting for people to hop on, that is helpful. And then also comment. Usually I ask where people are from, but maybe people are getting sick of that. So I'm going to ask a different question today. It's still geography related though. But where's your favorite place to vacation? Okay, where's your favorite place to vacation? If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go? I'm going to Malta in a couple weeks to audit the Yield Nodes project. So excited for that. I've actually never been to Europe, so I'm excited for that. But where would you go if you could go anywhere? And is there something I should be doing while I'm in Malta? Anyone familiar with Malta that has things that they would recommend I do? So yeah, thank you. And we got Nick here. Funky Investing's here. Eric is here. Eric, again, is one of our most faithful AMA viewers. So I appreciate you. And of course, Nick, always appreciate talking to you as well. Funky Investing already has some questions for the DoubleDice team. So yeah, if you do have questions, feel free to ask those. And as they fit in, I will bring those up. And also, I need your help. So I've been trying out different microphones. So I'm trying out a new one today. But if my voice goes robotic or I sound terrible or anything like that, someone comment quickly so I can switch back to just my old mic that has never let me down, but I just feel like I need to upgrade, okay? So, yeah, we got a lot of people hopping on now. Zanzibar is where you would recommend. Tanzania. Yeah, I've never been there, but I noticed your banner is a Chelsea banner, and Didier Drogba is my favorite soccer player of all time, or football player, as they say in places that are not the U.S. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and welcome our guests here today. We have the team from DoubleDice here. Welcome to the channel today. Could you start out by introducing yourself and just give a little bit of your story?
Hey, thanks very much, James. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having us here, and very excited to speak to you about where we are at and where we're going. So this is VK here. I'm a founder of the DoubleDice project, and yeah, I'm very excited to see where the discussion goes. Also, I think we are going to be in a position to share some very alpha-like previews for what's coming next. So very excited to share this with the viewers as well. Yeah, let's get started, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we do. We have some alpha videos of what's coming up. But before we get to that, again, just assuming that people in the audience have never heard of DoubleDice, this is their first exposure to it. Could you kind of talk through what is DoubleDice?
Absolutely. So DoubleDice is a protocol as a service, right? And what you're going to get when you are at DoubleDice is this decentralized pooled predictions protocol. And using this tech stack that we've built in a turnkey solution format, you can either create your own prediction markets, gaming rooms, etc., in the metaverse as well, or you can just go and play the games and participate in the markets that have been created by the people who do have the right to open the markets for themselves. So it's very easy. What we've done is we've created the entire tech stack in a decentralized Web3 format. All you have to do as a participant, either way, player or a room owner, is to just connect your wallet and off you go. All you need to do is have the tokens which are needed to participate in a predictions market. Let's say, for example, people would be trying to say, let's predict the floor value of an NFT project, for example. Or we've got a crypto horse race saying who is going to gain the most in the next 24 hours between Ethereum, DAG, Bitcoin, etc. Right? So these are the kind of prediction markets which you can create. It's only limited by your creativity, though. So if you are a room owner and if you want people to put money down on who's going to get kicked out of MasterChef tonight, you can do that too. Right. So it's only limited by whatever it is that you want people to predict. And everything we do in life is prediction based, right? You're only making decisions because you're expecting a certain situation to occur in the future. So anything can be converted into market. And what we've done with our tech stack is give people the opportunity to create that in a very, very easy format. It only takes about 2 to 3 minutes to create a market, and you can float out the link to everybody else. James, I know you've tried it as well, so feel free to provide your feedback to the viewers as well. And that's just in the Web3 based, let's say, browser based environment. What's coming next is also the entire Metaverse gaming rooms, which will be coming out in Q4 of this year. And we've already built out most of that. We're just waiting for a proper integration with the stateful environment within DAG, so that the system can actually handle the amount of TPS and the output that is required to run a metaverse in a completely decentralized format, right? Nobody's ever done that before. We're going to be the first ones to do that, and we're going to demonstrate that in a few months' time. So very excited about that. But essentially, that's DoubleDice. You can create essentially a prediction market on serious topics, like what's going to be the inflation rate. You can create it on something very fun, like who's going to get kicked out of a reality show. You can create a race between different elements, you name it, right? And then on top of that, you can also blend that into the gaming space, where you can actually create and host a poker room or a roulette room. And that's without any expense to yourself, right? And let me elaborate a little bit on what it means from the owner perspective. The way to get access to our tech stack is to simply buy the tokens and stake them into our staking contracts. You are not paying any expenses, right? You're only staking there for a limited time period. You're going to choose that. At the time period end, the tokens are yours again. But during the time you've staked those tokens, you have the right to open up those markets and those gaming rooms at will for the duration you want, for the topics you choose. Nobody's there to tell you what you can and cannot do, right? And it's in a completely decentralized format as well. So that's how you get access to the rooms itself. And how is it different than any other protocol that might allow you to set up rooms? Is that everything on DoubleDice is based on a pooled format. What does that mean? That means that you are not the one who is ponying up the entire liquidity for a market. So if you're going to say which one of Ethereum, DAG, or Solana, or whatever is going to win in the next 24 hours, you're not the one giving the odds to the people. It's a pooled format. So as everybody puts money on the different possible options, that's how the money builds up. And those are the funds that will be used to reward the correct uh, outcome, and the other people are the losers, who will of course lose their money, but that's the losers are paying the winners essentially. So you're not at risk of providing any liquidity. You're not going to be out of pocket. As a room owner, you simply make risk-free money because you are the host and you are taking your socialization fees out of that, right? So that's how you access the tech stack, and that's why it's very different to any other protocol that's out there, which would allow you to even create those markets or create gaming rooms.
Okay, very cool. So basically, and yes, I have done it. I've created my own room. But yeah, each person can create their own betting room, or what you call it, and they can choose what you want to bet on. So you end up with all these different rooms of all sorts of different bets on all sorts of different things. So is it open for anyone to open a room, or is there a certain amount of DOTI you have to hold, or how does that work?
Yeah, so as I was just mentioning before, you do need to have a certain amount of tokens, which you need to buy and then stake into our staking contracts. Then it gives you the right to go and open the markets, right? So let's say it's 8 million tokens. So it's about $8,000 in today's value. You're going to put that into the staking contract. Let's say you put it for a year. For that 1 year, you can essentially open as many markets as you want, but consecutively, it's only one, right? So what's going to happen is that if you are holding a market every 24 hours, you can have 365 markets in that 1 year where you've staked. At the end of that 1 year, those tokens are returned to you. There is nothing that we take. So it's essentially zero fee, zero expense access to the tech stack. All you need to do is hold the tokens and stake them in. And at the end of the staking period, you lose the right to open up markets, but you get the tokens back. So you can, of course, restake it back in and earn back the right as well, right? So it's very easy for the users to have access to that.
Okay, very, very cool. And then, yeah, I want to welcome Matthew. Again, he is a faithful AMA watcher, so I'll appreciate you being here. Sen, it's good to see you. Yeah, for people just coming in, please hit the like button. We're talking with DoubleDice. today. And if you guys have questions that you want to bring up, please do bring those up, and I'll go ahead and ask those. And Funky Investing actually had a good one. I'm a Constellation noob and wonder what's the advantage in using Constellation for this kind of project. Do you want to talk about your relationship with Constellation, or what the?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you want to talk through that?
Yeah, so look, I mean, the Constellation relationship is, of course, a very, very close one there, and there are multiple facets to what's going on with and within that ecosystem. So, DoubleDice was the first project that won the community vote from the Lattice Exchange launchpad, which was run. And of course, we had big support from the DAG Constellation ecosystem, the founding team, as well as the participants in that launchpad voting itself. So we came out as a winner, and then we did the launchpad with them. So that was the beginning of our public journey. But of course, behind the scenes, we've been speaking to the founding team a few months before that even occurred. And the reason why we came in contact was through a common friend. Um, so DoubleDice had the need to say we need to get to as many people as possible, and for that, what we thought was required was a multi-protocol deployment. Once we learned about Constellation and the L0, it was pretty clear that instead of having 4 or 5 different protocol deployments, we could actually have a single deployment that catered to the entire market without needing to do those 4 or 5 different deployments and maintaining them and so on and so forth. So that was a real need which was fulfilled. So it was a no-brainer for us to say, yes, that's where we're going to go. We, of course, didn't want to wait for everything to be built up. So what we've done in the meantime is that we've launched a platform on Polygon Matic so that it, of course, addresses some of the pain points in terms of the speed of the transaction processing, in terms of the pricing of the transactions. But of course, when you talk about L0, it's going to be the next step up, right? So that's what we are looking forward to. And of course, if you're thinking about, let's say, a metaverse environment, nobody's done a decentralized metaverse that can work with the kind of graphics and the games we've got and multiple Discord audio channels working in parallel so that you can actually talk and interact with the people in your gaming room and so on and so forth. All that is going to require a significant amount of, in quotes, bandwidth, if you wish, right? Because people understand bandwidth more than some of the other technical nomenclature that can be used to describe what we need out of that infrastructure. And I think this is where Constellation is a good fit. So for us, it fulfills the need for multi-protocol deployment as well as just the raw hunger brute force that needs to be sated if we are going to actually deliver a usable product to the users, right? So that's where we're at. We've also announced, of course, with the DAG Constellation team, the Dagino, which is a take on the casino, of course. I don't know if you've got the video, James, if you want to share it with your viewers, but what we, of course, offered the founding team at Constellation saying, look, we're going to build a casino in the metaverse. We've got various different themes, but what we'd like to do for the community is to build a structure which actually represents the entire ecosystem in numerous ways. So the first thing we did was to create a structure that looked like the Constellation logo, right? And that's what we've already created in the metaverse. And what we are going to do is that while there are going to be multiple playing areas on the outside part of the building, the middle part of that structure is going to be NFT galleries, which will serve the different projects, not just DoubleDice and Constellation, but other Constellation projects that would actually need to gain exposure and also have the facility to showcase their NFTs and a gallery for any of the product demonstrations and so on and so forth. So that's what our commitment to that ecosystem is, and that's what we are delivering to them, right? So did you want to share that clip quickly?
Yeah, yeah. And I just wanted to add, I think there might be some misunderstanding about Constellation, but pretty much Constellation is just better. It's cheaper and it's faster
Yeah.
than other chains. So there doesn't really need to be like a advantage to using. It's just a better chain. I think there's not like you don't necessarily need a reason other than that. It's faster and it's cheaper.
Yep.
So I think we're going to see a lot of projects as when Constellation is ready to go. I think we're going to see a lot of projects moving over there for those reasons. All right, let me pull up this video. Okay, I think we're looking at this one.
Yep, that's the one.
Okay, so this is a picture of the metaverse that you guys are building.
Yeah, so that's one part of the gaming city which we're building. This is the structure that shows the building which we made in the Constellation logo itself. And as you can see, the middle part is where the galleries will be, and the outside part is where all the gaming rooms will be.
Okay, very cool. And then we have a couple other videos. Is there a particular order, or do you want to tell us what we're looking at?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. So when you are going to play that video, and that's with a very nice sound to that as well. One of our team
Yeah.
members went crazy on creating that video. So this video is going to showcase you what the traditional themed casinos are going to look like within the metaverse itself, right? So as I said, there are various different buildings, various themes within the gaming city. This one shows you the traditional casino, but it also showcases you the NFTs which we will be having as part of the project. And that's a very, very important topic, actually, is now that we've got a segue to that. There are not many people who can create a fully animated 3D avatar as an NFT, and which people can actually buy and sell and hold it as their own representation in the metaverse. Now, we are creating a whole bunch of NFTs, which will be, of course, available to the people when we launch the metaverse and the NFT collections. But you can see from the clip itself that the interactions and everything else which you'll be able to carry out with this NFT avatars are going to be very realistic. Now, everybody's seen Ready Player One. It's not going to be that level of graphics and interactions already now, but you can already see that we are on a good way towards that, right? So go on and play the clip and let everybody absorb that in.
Okay. All right, very cool. So I have a couple questions. So when is something like this going to be available? Do you guys have kind of timetables that you're working on? I think this is what people had in mind when they think metaverse. But I
Yep.
feel like we've just kind of been waiting, for all these different metaverses. Do you guys have a timetable in place?
Yeah, in Q4. So it's not very far. We've always delivered on time. We said Q1 launch for the predictions protocols on the browser-based tech stack. We've done that. Q4 is when we will be releasing the metaverse out, which will have a tremendous amount of different themes and NFTs. Now, if you've been watching that video, you'd also saw some of the NFTs standing on the point of sales, right? So you'll be able to actually buy and sell the NFTs within the metaverse itself. So you don't even have to wait to, 5 different steps to go and purchase an NFT and do X, Y, and Z steps to get there. No, every time you connect your wallet to the metaverse, it's going to know which NFTs you hold in the wallet, and it's going to say, which one do you want to be today? And if you add one more, then it's just going to be added to the wallet and it's available for your selection immediately, right? And as we were doing this NFT creation ourselves, and it takes a hell of a lot of time, by the way, right? So the cost of creating each of these NFTs is almost like $500 a piece, because that's the amount of work that goes into designing, creating, rigging, animations, so on and so forth, the hosting, you name it, right? So I'm not going to get into details, but that's roughly the cost of what it makes, what it takes to create an NFT like that. And we've gotten so good at it that we've almost thought about, why not just have a separate NFT project for this? Because ultimately, what we might do is make these 3D avatar NFTs work with the other metaverses, which means that your presence then becomes universal. It's not just limited to the DoubleDice metaverse where you can represent yourself here, but you can take it with you wherever you're going. Right now, if you are looking at any metaverse projects, it's very limited, right? It's like a silo within a silo where everything you buy and sell is limited to that metaverse. Why not spread it out? So that's one of the thoughts which we have, and this is almost an alpha as well. We're saying we might just spin out a different project just for the 3D NFT avatars, and of course, in the process, make sure that our token holders are taken care of. So it's not like, we're creating something here and then we just spin off and take some more money from other people. No. So we're thinking about that. I think it deserves to be its own platform, because the amount of work we've put in it and the collections that we've built is going to be tremendous. And Just to give you an idea, it's also going to be three-pronged, right? So the common question is, hey, what if I don't have an NFT? Can I not enter your metaverse? And we said, no, that's not it. We'll have a default 5 to 10 avatars for your selection, but you might see 100 different people with that same avatar. So it's not that that is a ticket to entry, right? So that we've eliminated. Then
Gotcha.
we're going to have a prefabricated selection which people can buy, but we're also thinking of letting people create their own NFTs and mint it, meaning that if you've got 100 different variables of what you can make yourself look like, well, you can mint your NFT once you're happy with the selection you made, and then that becomes an NFT as well.
Okay, very cool. Now, are there plans to partner with any other metaverse? It seems like we have all these different metaverse projects. Yeah, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are talking to a few of these metaverse projects where they do not have the capabilities to create their own 3D animated avatars, where it almost becomes a win-win for them as well. And of course, there will be economic arrangements where they benefit from this. I can't comment much on those right now, but that would be the idea. So those kind of discussions are actually what make us think by saying we've started with DoubleDice with an idea, but there might be something which can be as big as DoubleDice even separately by itself, because guess what, nobody's got that know-how or put in that effort to make an entire collection of your avatars, because that is going to be the prime property to own. I mean, 2D JPEGs are great and you might add utility to this, but this is clear what you gain out of this. This is your digital representation of the physical self, right? Quoting a movie, but that is exactly what you're buying here.
Okay, very cool. And then we have one more video. Do you want to tell us about, before I start it?
Yeah, sure. So in the gaming city, what we've got is different themes, as I mentioned. So one is, of course, the traditional one. We've also got a space station. So you're actually going to be able to go into space. You can see Earth from outside, which, by the way, spins every 24 minutes to keep it realistic. So you're going to be able to see that, experience the different themes. We've got a steampunk theme. And then today, what you're going to show here is the additional Tron Legacy inspired theme, which we've already built out, as you can see in the video. You're also going to be able to get on a light cycle and drive around. So we've created a route for that as well outside of the gaming city. So a lot more fun factors being added to the Metaverse project itself. And you will also see that we've got a special 3D avatar NFT collection for the Tron already made as well. So please go ahead. I'll play the clip.
Okay, here we go. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, this one is my favorite, right? So when the designers were up with it and they said, look, we finished all the themes you've asked us to make, I said, like, no, we got to have Tron Legacy, right? I mean, for me, that was very personal. So this is where, a little bit of favoritism comes into play. So I made sure that we had a Tron Legacy environment. I think this is the one which I'm looking forward to the most to get in and play myself.
Very cool. Now, can you talk about how this is just curiosity, but how does socializing work in something like that? That's going to the casino in Vegas is a very, social experience. How does that work in a metaverse scenario like this?
It is much more complicated than walking in and starting to talk. But if you have seen, so right now, when you look at our prediction markets, which are on DDVFS, right, which is essentially Double Dice Virtual Floors, so it's ddvfs.com, you can see that even within the bet pages, you've got a Discord channel. Each bet page has its own Discord channel, so people can interact with each other, they can interact with the owner, they can ask questions, and so on and so forth. Now we extrapolate that to a metaverse environment, which is much more physical. And what you've now got is proximity limitations. Now, that is a word I like to use because if you've got 1,000 people in a metaverse gaming city and everybody's on the same damn audio channel, it's useless and it's just not going to work. So, what we're going to build is the algorithm which is going to make you hear voices based on proximity limitations, and which then makes it a very realistic environment for you to be in. So if you're at a table, you're going to be able to hear and talk to everybody else on the table. You won't hear the background noise. We're not going to simulate that because you do need that clarity when you're already in the virtual world, right? So those are the kind of aspects which we're going to build in. So there will be audio capabilities within the metaverse itself, which will be proximity limited so that it gives you a very realistic feel when you're in there.
Okay, very cool. And then I want to talk about how people can get involved. And actually, a question from the audience: are there any regulation hurdles that you have to get over for getting U.S.? I know U.S. has the strictest
Oh yeah,
laws on
absolutely.
everything.
And gaming itself is very, very strict and regulated as well. What we have to note is that if you look up the white paper, which is also on the website itself, you'll see our take on it, which is very simply that this is a completely decentralized format. We are creating the tech stack. You are essentially flooding the markets. You're getting the players to come in. There is no KYC AML, and people are actually only using crypto tokens, which are not even recognized as currency. Right. And so all the regulations are made for people that play the house. Well, guess what? Here at Double Dice, nobody's playing the house. People are not using real money in the sense of the regulators itself. And you will see all the other fine nuances also addressed within that section on the regulatory framework as we see it for this environment. And so far, we've had no troubles, right? I mean, we've been operating for 3 months now, and it's accessible from everywhere, it's playable from everywhere, and like any other decentralized format, all you do is connect your wallet and you get on with it.
Okay, very cool. Now, for people who want to get involved, okay, so if they want to just be a player, they don't want to do any of their own room or anything like that, they just want to be a player. Is all they need to do is buy the Dodi token? Is that all that they need?
No, as a player, you don't even need to buy the Dodi token. We've removed that hurdle, right? So all you do is you go to ddvfs.com, you connect your wallet, and of course, you're going to have the Matic token to pay the gas because we are on Polygon right now. But $1 worth of Matic will give you 10,000 transactions. So it's very, very cheap and it's quite fast as well, especially now that everybody's dumped the market so much. I mean, Matic is probably 1/5 the price of what it was when we even started to build. So it's gotten even cheaper. So all you need is Matic to pay the gas fees and a token like USDC to get on and place the bets. That's all you need. In terms of how people can get engaged, though, there is a third way beyond the players and the room owners, which is what you might have heard of, what we call the lazy pool, right? And lazy pool is not where you are getting yield in Dodi for staking Dodi. It's essentially a mechanism where you can go and stake in Dodi because that is used to be a proxy for providing the support and the infrastructure needed for the room owners to operate. And what's going to happen is this is going to eventually, of course, also support the state channel environment within Constellation, right? So it's very clear in our heads that lazy pool are the value enablers. The owners are the value creators and the players are the value absorbers. So if you look at those three elements, that's how the ecosystem works. And in lazy pool, all you do is you buy the token, you stake that in, which is supporting the room owners in creating and floating their bets and the gaming rooms. And they are going to share a part of their income with you. So you get access to 20%, of the revenues, not the profits, not so on and so forth. And that is your fee for enabling the room owners. Very simple. So there is a third way of having access to this ecosystem where you say, hey, I don't have the time to be an active room owner, but I do like this project. I do want to benefit from it. And I'll start by supporting the room owners and providing the infrastructure support. Well, Lazy Pool is your ticket in for that one, right? And in the same way as the other part, what you're going to do is you're going to stake it in for whatever time duration you want for the time duration, you're going to benefit from this 20% of the realized revenues. And after that staking period is finished, you just get the tokens back. So there is no expense to you for supporting this ecosystem and the room owners in actually creating and floating those bets and gaming rooms out there.
Okay, and then it's just a minimum of one. So if you don't want to put up all that you need for a room, then you can do just the lazy pool, and you can do pretty much any amount there.
Any amount, any duration, we do not care, right? Of course, it's going to be a very limited amount if you put one. And looking at the price of the token ourselves right now, I mean, it would be difficult to buy one token, but you get the picture, right? So we've made sure that there is enough room for people to play with the different aspects of this project.
Okay, and then can you tell the difference between the standard room and the vesting room, just for people who are wanting to get involved in those?
Sure. So standard room is all that's available to anybody who's not involved already, right? The vesting rooms for the ones who entered in the seed and the private rounds. What happened is that they didn't get all the tokens immediately, like the people in the market get. So what we did was saying, to be fair to them, they can start staking their tokens and then add to those rooms as more tokens become available to them. So that's the only difference between a standard room and a vesting room. So if you are not a seed or a private buyer, then of course you're just going to have the standard room, right? Which is pretty straightforward. But we've always kept fairness at the topmost priority of everything we do. So we had to make sure that we do not penalize actually the guys who supported us in the earliest part of the project. So we created the vesting rooms as well.
Yes, and that's always a hard balance. Is you want to give advantage to the people who got in early, but then not make it very difficult for the people who are getting in later. So yeah, vesting is always a good way to do that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, last question, I think, and then I'll let you, if you have anything else that you want to add. If people want to buy, they can just come to the website, and this walks through it really well. I don't even have to explain it. This got this page. I'll put a link to this page. You can get it on Uniswap. You can go get it on Bitmart. Any plans to get on other exchanges at this point?
100%. So we've already got confirmations and acceptances from other exchanges, but it's not the right time for the market to be spending money on getting listings right now. That's how the market works, unfortunately. And yes, so it will be coming in the future, but just not yet, right? I think what we're going to do in terms of the project is that in the, let's say, hopefully the near future, we'll have a combination of a very good market maker as well as good exchanges coming out.
Okay, very cool. And then I like that you have this too, because a lot of times people have a hard time, everything that they have is on other chains. And so getting it over to Polygon, you guys have a good page there for getting over to Polygon. So you guys kind of have it all there. And I love this project. I love, we've seen so many projects that are just tokenomic games. And so I'm so excited to see projects where, hey, this is a very clear, revenue stream for Dodie holders. And yeah, I'm very excited. Do you have anything else that you'd like to say to your community or to potential investors?
Well, no, thanks very much for your comments, first of all. And I would like to say that, I mean, the last few months, I have been reading about, all these Ponzi-nomics, which have, of course, gone bust, and all these stake and node kind of things. And for us, it was very clear that if you keep paying people in the tokens, the native tokens, and if you're going to offer 17, 20, 50%, it's just a downward spiral. You just can't sustain it. And which is why, if you look at the lazy pool, we already thought about that and we've created it differently. Because as soon as you say that the stakers are the value enablers, but the value enablers should be rewarded from the value creators, it becomes very clear what the tokenomics should be, right? And which is why I think we were very forward thinking in terms of what would work on the long term. And so lazy pool, I think, is something which every ecosystem should look at by saying that's actually how to do it, rather than just giving them infinite amount of reward tokens in their own native tokens. That's just not sustainable.
Yeah, absolutely. And this might be too difficult of a question or too speculative. But what kind of returns have you guys run some numbers and some projections of what kind of returns you think people might be able to make from either the lazy staking or from starting their own room?
No, we haven't. And what we say is that you should make your own assumptions. So if you look at the website and if you go to the token subpage, you can actually see a value calculator, which will let you put in all the assumptions you want to make about your own room or the ecosystem and figure out what the value is. And so rather than answering that question, we've made it very easy for people to see what value does it mean for themselves, right? So yeah, exactly, that page over there. So if you say that I staked 1 million tokens to own the right, and then you answer all the other questions, you'll see what the value will be, right? So if you are, I can't read it. It's a very small screen, and I'm on my mobile screen right now, and I don't know them by heart. But go ahead and say, look, average size of bets, let's say $20, for example, right? And you might charge 2 to 3%. Put whatever percent you want, and then you go down and calculate, and you will see. Yeah. You put -4. You don't need to put minus in front of that. Yeah. So you see, for example, right? So your daily earnings would be 576, your annualized earning, and what is the value multiple compared to what the price is today, which in our eyes is ridiculous. But look, we are only focused on providing the utility. We don't comment on prices or earnings, but we do make it very easy for you to look at it for yourself.
Okay, very cool. Well, yeah, I'm very excited about this. And again, for those of you who don't know, how I got in touch with Double Dice was I reached out to Ben at Constellation. I said, "Hey, what are the projects on Constellation that you think are going to be big that I really need to get in touch with?" And one of the first ones he sent over was Double Dice, and he said, "Definitely talk with them about what they're doing. They're really excited about it, and so I think very, very cool what you're doing. So I'm excited as well."
Well, look, James, thanks very much for having us. It's been a pleasure to speak to you, and hopefully, your viewers and our communities are going to extract some insights into what we're doing. So, thanks very much for the opportunity. Truly appreciate it.
Yes, and thank you, audience. Whether you're watching this live or replay, please hit the like button on your way out. Appreciate you guys being here, and then really appreciate you, VK, being here and taking your time. So I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too, James. Thanks very much. Cheers, guys.
Take care, everybody.